Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto, and today guys we are taking a cheeky look at Harmony One and we're talking all about all-time highs and what is next. So Chris, what is potentially next for Harmony One? We're going to get into that in this video today, so hopefully you guys will find it useful, informative. If you do, hit that like button, we both really do appreciate that. And of course, if you're new to the channel and you're not yet subscribed, do go ahead and subscribe, because by subscribing you'll be kept up to date with all of the videos and live streams that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. And you never know, there might be a new gem occasionally that just crops up, just like Harmony One, Chris. We're early adopters, and man, we've seen some lucrative rewards.
Oh, it has been lucrative, Nick, but more importantly, like I'm just so excited about the future for this project. I really am.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've seen so many more people get involved with Harmony One. The community as a whole is absolutely fantastic. So yeah, long live Harmony One. I think there's some fantastic and exciting things that are in store for Harmony during 2021 and beyond. So all good stuff, all good stuff. And so let's jump over to the desktop and take a look at the all-time high that was achieved today.
Another one.
Another one. I know, it's been a week full of them.
It has been a week full of them. It's amazing.
Fantastic. Right, so Harmony One has hit a high today of 17.6 cent, according to CoinMarketCap here. It has pulled back slightly, and that's perfectly fine. We actually saw this happen quite a few times during the course of today. It would hit that high, have a slight kind of correction, and then go for another one, and another one, and another one. So as it stands at the point of recording this video, it's actually at 43.34% up, Chris. That's quite a nice percentage to be up there. The market cap is at $1.5 billion, and I remember when little Harmony here, Chris, was below 100 million. So it's been one hell of a ride so far, and I think this thing's got a long way to go still. Now, just for those who do not know, there are 9.2 billion One tokens in current circulating supply. That's about 74% of the maximum supply, and that maximum number is at 12.6. So that's really cool to see. Here's a little chart. You can see literally the rocket blasting off into space, heading towards the moon. It has got a little bit more in its journey yet, and we're going to go into seeing exactly what's going on there. But yeah, it's definitely started launching, Chris. We're going to start seeing how that thing rolls going further forward. So let's take a look, Chris, at the chart, because that's ultimately where this thing really gets interesting. We obviously have a Fibonacci retracement on here that we actually painted way back in February. I say way back, it wasn't even that far really, but this particular Fibonacci, we chose that high point of the 14th of February, where we then saw those corrections. The low points were pinpointed back down in the 27th of January, and we can see that rally to the upside there, right? So this whole Fibonacci was kind of pinpointed on that low level that was down here in January, that high that was achieved in Feb, the correction that came all the way down to that 382 area, that Fibonacci key area that we always talk about. It's either going to be the 618, the 50, or in this particular case, the 382. And obviously we corrected down to that 618, we corrected down to the 50, and then we came down to that last step of the 382. And then since then, it's just been kind of, steadily moving further forward, which was absolutely fantastic. And as we started to ride this thing up, we took out the first price target. Our first price target was 5.8 cent. We took that out within a couple of days of the breakout. Then we moved further forward. A few days later, we took out the 9.1 cent area, followed by Chris, a week later, taking out the 12.3 cent. And then today, we've powered straight past that top level of the 4.236 area of the Fibonacci. 14.3, that's no longer a problem. We took that out of equation, and we've gone all the way up here, which is absolutely fantastic. So as I pull this bang back down, you can see how high that actually extended way above our Fibonacci extension level there. Now, what we're going to do is, because this has happened, we're going to correct our Fibonacci. We're going to now have this as our high point that we're going to use for corrections. And obviously, we are overbought, so we're kind of thinking that eventually this is going to have to kind of come down. Now, whether this is going to be the top is yet to be decided. We'll have a look at the charts and determine whether or not that's going to be the top, or whether the top is still yet to come in. But for now, we're going to correct this and give you a bit of an insight as to where we think this thing is going to go, just from a Fibonacci point of view. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this Fibonacci top level, and I'm going to paste it right on top of that high that we had today. Now I'm going to take the low point. I'm not going to leave it where it was. I'm actually going to move this thing just up to this area here, because that's actually where we started to see some significant growth, right? So this was actually going to be the 11th of March. The high was obviously today of the 21st of March. So therefore, we can see this thing potentially now having a correction towards, the 618, the 50, or the 382. Those are the three key areas that we want to be monitoring for. If that is the top, then we're going to potentially come down to these areas. So there's an opportunity for anyone to accumulate more one tokens before we take the next step to the upside. With that being said, we do not know if that's a top yet, so I'd be a little bit cautious until we start seeing some kind of, decline past that 786 area. And if we can go ahead and touch on the 618, we'll know for sure that this is actually a correction point. So if we drop to 12.4 cent, we'll know that that's coming in. But for now, we're going to have a look at some of these other areas before we get into what prices we are to expect moving forward. So let's go and look at the 4-hourly chart, Chris, just to confirm a little bit more of what's actually going on here. So the 4-hourly chart is also overbought along with the daily chart there. We can see the volumes. If I unhide them quickly, the volumes are actually still increasing in the last sort of 3 or so candles, and we'll have to see how this one goes. If it's a decreasing volume, then we're going to start getting that correction. If not, we'll have to just wait for the top to come in. But let's go ahead and pull this into the hourly. This is where it's going to show us the most amount of data, which is excellent. Okay, so here we can see that top coming in. We can see that selling pressure in that volume, and the volumes are actually starting to decrease by the hour. And again, we're overbought. So I think we're going to have a correction at this point. I think that is the top, Chris, and that's actually a positive sign, because that means we know where the top is, and we can start correct from here. So we now know that the volumes are decreasing. We're overbought on the RSI on the daily, the 4-hourly, and the hourly. And chances are that we're going to be heading towards the 618 area to start with. Now, obviously, that's a good area that you might think is an entry point. If you're a conservative person like me, I would be saying, okay, potentially in that zone, I might want to accumulate and take it on the chin if it does drop down to that 9.1 cent area of the 382. Okay, so once that's over and we get down to this kind of zone, we should be blasting off again once we get that correction in place. Now, what that correction will do is it will correct our RSI on all of those different charts, and obviously the hourly will bounce around a lot more than the daily, likewise the 4-hourly. But ultimately, we're looking to correct that RSI to as low as possible, head towards that 40 or 30 area, and that will give us the maximum amount of swing to the upside. And specifically, once we're down that low, we want to see the volume also dropping at the same time. That will protect the price a bit. And then obviously we want to see that volume really kick up once we're at that low level on the RSI. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, all that means is we're actually going to be heading up towards our first price target. Our first price target for Harmony 1 now stands at 26.4 cent, which is a pretty sweet spot for anyone who is an early adopter. Moving on from that first price target, Chris, we'll be looking at 40 cent. That's the second price target that comes in at the 2.618 Fibonacci extension level. So again, it could take a few weeks to get there. It could take a few months. We'll have to see how that goes, but things are definitely heating up for sure. And as we move on to that third price target, that comes in at 54.4 cent. And then the very final top of this is currently suggesting to us is the 63 cent zone. But as we did a video yesterday, Chris, I still think that $1 should be very easy to achieve during 2021. So still plenty of gains in the tank. And I still think it'll even go higher than that. Specifically around some of the fantastic things that are going on. It wouldn't surprise me at all, Chris, if it does even go much further than $2. And it really just comes down to the level of marketing, the amount of communication that's out there within the community, and is spreading the good word of what's actually happening with Harmony 1. I still think that it's going to do phenomenally well. It's a low cap coin. It has a low circulating supply, so the market cap would not be a problem to get to a 9, 18, and maybe even more in terms of $1 billion, right? So yeah, Chris, I think everything to play for here. We've got some fresh targets now for Harmony in the immediate future. And obviously, as you saw with the previous one, we might blast straight through that 63 cent zone. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if that does actually happen. I still think $1 is absolutely going to happen. There's no way I can see that not happening with the fantastic technology stack that's going on here. With this new marketing manager and things like that, Chris. I think that's going to do phenomenally well. It's going to really help push the message out there. But overall, I'm absolutely over the moon with how Harmony One and the One token has launched today. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, it's everything that we've expected it to be at this point. I kind of feel like the community have taken it upon themselves to really push it out, and we're seeing so much chatter around Harmony One over the recent weeks, and the fact that there's such a supportive community as well definitely goes to supporting the project in the price discovery side of things. There's lots of work going on in the background, particularly around Bitcoin and Binance and various other things, and obviously the new marketing director as well. So, hopefully we're going to start to see a lot more articles written about Harmony One over the coming weeks and months, and I think hopefully some of the gaps in the marketing side of things will be plugged. No pressure, but that's kind of my expectations for us to achieve the price discovery. Nick's obviously just talked everyone through. There does need to be a marked step up in that department in particular, in my opinion. But there's just so much fantastic stuff going on, both with the project and the team there, and the community. Lots of talk on the Harmony One AMA today that I was on. Unfortunately, I had to drop off because obviously we've got videos to record, right? But yeah, lots going on, and personally, I feel very reassured about achieving these price points that Nick's discussed, and obviously we've put our I guess our reputations on the line by saying $1. We expect it to go further, but at least $1. 2021 is kind of our views, and I feel reassured by everything that I hear every day from Harmony and everything that I read. So yeah, it just seems to be going from strength to strength, Nick.
It really does. And if I just pull us over to the desktop 1 second here, we can see the 𝗕𝗘𝗪 Harmony pool, right, that we set up to support the project and to support you guys in earning some passive income with your One tokens. Now, we have, Chris, now achieved a 10.9 million One Harmony in the pool, which is absolutely fantastic. We've seen some fantastic days in terms of rewards that were generated. I mean, at peak, we've seen 19.5% for a single day in terms of returns. At our low point, it was 5.9. That was a bit of a teething issue that we had early on. And most recently, we've got a couple of, we've got 13.2 and 12.2, which is doing really, really well. And, the rewards that you're expected to return out to you guys is all dependent on the amount of Harmony One that's delegated in the pool and the work that we do in managing that particular staked volume. So ultimately, we need to optimize the way that we use all the different shards and the numbers of BLS keys that we can then confirm transactions in parallel with. And ultimately, it all has to be divisible by the median stake. And we can get into more of that around this particular tab here. So we want to be as close to this as possible. So we want to be ideally below it without dropping off the election process. But if we can get as close to that as possible and make it divisible by the total number of stake, that means we can increase the number of shards that we're operating on, which will then return the maximum number of returns for you guys, right? So our 19.5% return that we had the other day, that was based on actually running three keys, which was 2 on shard 2 and 1 on shard 0, and ultimately that returned 19.5% for you guys, which was fantastic. But unfortunately, we had a little bit of one token actually taken out of the pool, which meant that we dropped our return rates slightly. So it's kind of those kind of balancing games between making sure we have a right amount delegated in the pool and obviously making sure that we have the right number of nodes to support that kind of delegation. So everything's looking pretty good so far, and we're expected to get, Chris, of our pool this one up so far around 14% for the current epoch that we're in, and we'll manage it accordingly. So I just wanted to kind of say, yeah, fantastic job happening with the pool here, and you are going to be getting some really good returns if you delegate there. So yeah, really cool.
Yeah. One thing that I notice is a lot of people, they sort of like hop in and they hop out. That makes it really challenging to manage a pool like this, where you have to game it. So, for best returns, obviously, if you're going to stake in the pool, obviously it's much better and easier for us to make sure that we give really decent level rewards. I mean, above average rewards, if we know that, the stake's not going to fluctuate too much. Obviously, if you delegate with the plan to stay long term, fantastic. It's also fine to move out. But I think if you're just going to be in for a little while, it might be better to find a pool that's perhaps not elected, support those guys in getting elected, because I kind of feel like once pools are elected, it's much easier to manage. I don't know if you align with that, Nick. It's good for the project, and
Yes and no, it's not quite as simple as that. And I'll show you what we mean by that. So in an election, there's only ever a maximum number of 640 seats. Okay, that's what they call them. So that's how many keys are allowed to operate on the network at any one epoch. And what you're doing is you're competing to get elected. And that median stake at the top here, this is the effective median stake, the EMS, right? That's the crucial playing number. And as you come down here, these are the bids, right? The bid has to be, as close to that number as possible. But the lower, the better. So if you got this down here, for example, where it was 4.8 million, ultimately that 4.8 million means that they can have a lower stake, but yet earn as if they had more of or a greater stake in their pool, right? So you want to be as low as possible without dropping off. Okay, so that's the last pool here, SNZ pool. They actually have 4 keys running, okay? And they have 24 million in their pool. You take that 24 million, you divide that by 4, gets them to their bid, and then their bid is actually still within the parameters, and they're able to get the last set of keys there. Now, if we jump over to the next election, we'll show you a list of everyone, right? So here we have all of these guys, and they're running multiple keys, and you can see all their stakes here. Now, this guy here, he's operating this particular pool at the bottom. He has 15.4 million in his pool, but he's not effective. He's not going to be elected in the next election because he's running 4 shards. He actually needs to take one of those offline if he wants to be elected, which would then put the SNZ pool as unelected. Okay, so it's like gaming. You're always battling against other people, but there are obviously a whole host of other pools down here. If they're able to beat the guys above them in terms of their stake, then they are going to get elected. But there's only ever going to be a maximum number of 640 keys that can ever be elected. And obviously some of these big players, they run, maybe 20 keys, maybe even more than that, right? So you have to kind of watch out. I mean, this is a good example here. This particular guy, shout out to whoever this is, POPS, Team Validator, if it will load. Here we go. He's running 2 slots on shard 0, 14 slots on shard 1, 16 slots on shard 2, and 9 slots on shard 3, which basically then takes his 261 million one tokens that have been delegated, dividing it by all of those slots, and it's a total of 41 that he's then elected. So out of the 641, this one pool has taken 41 seats. So it is a gaming thing here. Personally, I believe that actually it would be better if, from a decentralization point of view, to actually cap the total amount that you could ever stake into a single pool, make that a reasonable number, maybe 100 million. And then actually that'll increase the number of pools that could be elected, because there'll only be a certain number of, of keys that could ever be distributed. But nonetheless, at the moment, as it stands, you have to game the system, and that's what we're trying to do for you guys, making sure that we can return the maximum amount that we can with the the one tokens that you delegate to our pool. So it is a bit of a complicated thing, but we are trying to do our best, and it's just generally a little bit easier if we know that the stake isn't going to change on the last minute before election. Ultimately. Yeah. Okay, but long story short, but hopefully you found this useful and informative. And if you did, hit that like button, because we both really do appreciate it. And of course, if you're new to the channel and you're not yet subscribed, do consider subscribing, because by subscribing, you will be kept up to date with all of the videos and live streams that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. It's free, you'll be kept informed, so yeah, why not? And with all that said and done, we hope you have a fantastic day, guys, and we'll catch you all in the next one.
Yeah, take care.